one of the things I'd like to go back to is the mix window and these stems. So I'll play the track. More or less in the same state it was. From the last video. I have altered little. I'd like to look at panning at the moment, so I'm going to look at panning. And I think, again, when we're dealing with frequencies and sonic fields and ranges, it is sometimes useful to find that your mix is balanced very well. And balancing can take time, and balancing is about preference. And I think with panning, it's a left and right brain activity, mixing, and it just does take time and patience. Let's do -29. So you can achieve the levels of equal distance by pulling or tapping, and this will give you the ability to be a lot more accurate when it comes to mixing. I would practice this or use it as good practice when it comes to mixing. My Peruvian panpipe is quite central. If you noticed, I hit one of the window views up here at the top, and it's presented us with a load of channels that we're not even using, or that are not even active at this stage. And I'm only going to go back to the arrange window just to make it easier to view visually. Again, in the stems you can double tap and type in the actual numbers you require your levels to be at. And with our master mix, it's always going to be at 0 dB, which is our good level. I've done some panning to the left and some panning to the right, some panning to the right and some panning to the left. Now, some of these features work really well with stereo. However, if you go back to mono, what you'll find is they will almost jump back into the stereo field. So it's quite important that you keep your stereo available, because then you can balance it. This track is in mono, and if I pan it hard left to -64, it does what it should. If I leave it in stereo, it sort of alters the field. I think you'll have to experience and apply this feature yourself when you're mixing. I think with mono you can get a more defined pan from left to right, but I think as you go through the mix and you introduce other instruments, you may find you need to balance mixes like a circle or a semicircle, because that's the way we receive our sound sonically, and it's placing things in this mix which will determine the reception of your listener. Okay, I'm just going to stop the track for a minute. I'm going to hit X and go back to my project window. Now, I'm going to look here. And if you notice, the track header is red. The track header is yellow. The track header is green. The track header is black. Now, we could do this in configure track header. So we configure track header color and we click this button. If you notice, I applied the instance and it removed the track header coloring. If I reapply it, it applies it for us. Now this is a good feature for us to consider when it comes to your mixing visual view. It's very important, and it will just give you the ability to focus on areas a lot more defined and in a lot more detail. One of the other aspects I'd like to look at this stage is introducing you to markers. Now, markers is a real good way to move across a mix from beginning, middle and end. And how we do that is we go to the list menu and we go to the marker feature and we create marker. And the marker name is really important, which is down here where we can make notes. And this is our introduction. And what it's done for is it's give us a position. It's give us the length of the marker, and if we just jump out of there, we can create another marker, and we can create then the second marker, which could be the start of the track. Notice it's not there. Good. That's because we had not moved the mouse. Now what we could do with this marker that we've created is to decide where it's going to be and put it there. Or we can move the mouse and we can create another marker, and that gives it the ability to say this is where our verse is going to happen, verse 1. And then we can consider that our vocals may start here, and we create another marker, and we could then name this marker verse vocal, and then we could create another marker which we could deem chorus, and then we could create another marker which could be second verse. Then we can create another marker, having moved our mouse, and we can create second chorus. And then we create another marker. We could then name our last marker outro. Now again, some of the aspects I'm covering in this short tutorial are very simple, quite easy to grasp, and they could be introduced into your knowledge base only on a simple way to begin to work with Logic Pro as a DAW. I've got one last thing I want to cover just before I change direction, and this is this. So we noticed we still got one blue aspect to this track, and if I go back to my mix window, this actual track lane here has been made black. However, the region itself is not, and that's fixed by going into regions, down the very bottom, color regions by channel strips / instruments. There's also a key command for this function which you can set, and works really well. Do practice key commands, they're very useful. So again, this is just the basics on markers, on coloring our track regions. We looked at panning left and right, using mono or stereo. We've only really worked with the first 5 tracks into this. One of the other things I'd like to explore is grouping, and you can create a group, and a group's very useful because once you've got a group of tracks and you've balanced them tracks, it'll be very rare that you'll have to move the individuals within that track. So you could then name that group of tracks the intro, so to speak, as you would have done with your markers. And these are the elements that you can alter in the group of tracks, and these are the aspects that you can highlight. The color, track zooming, automation, and you close this window, and if we go back to our mix, it's not made a difference here in the project window, but if we look on the left hand side, we can see that it is part of a group. And as your mixes get bigger, mixing does become a lot more of a focused work that needs managing. Thanks and goodbye.